Morning campers, coffee time. I like to start this with saying thank you to Lily Nova for this mug. I think she sent me this about 4 years ago, and it's still going, which is rare in my house. Mugs don't last that long, so thank you, Lily. This video is called Why You Should Pay Attention to the Secret Space Program. Now, if you've never heard of the Secret Space Program, this video is for you. Even if you have heard of it, it's also for you. What is the Secret Space Program? Well, it goes back a long time in terms of my interest in this subject, because if you've never seen me before, I have had multiple UFO experiences throughout my life, multiple weird experiences. I will tell those stories on this video, and if you've heard them before, I apologize in advance. But the reason I wanted to make this video today is because I watched an incredible interview yesterday with, not an interview, a presentation by a ultra soldier, a super soldier called Drago Reed, on the amazing The Bases Project YouTube channel. This is the video you want to look for. And you know, a little bit of background on the Bases Project. I've been watching it for years. It's run by a man called Miles Johnston, who's incredible. He's been at it since 1994. He's the one who brought out Max Spears, the super soldier. And he's done just tons of... I've never met or spoken to Miles, but I don't know if he'd want to speak to me, but I'd like to speak to him at some point. But I know people who know him. And he's just been relentless and tireless in his uncovering. And this is from an event I actually wanted to go to, which was the Bases Project live event in England about a month ago, I think. And this presentation by Drago Reed is amazing. It's he talks about the fact that they knew who he was while he was in the womb, and how they turned him into something between a product, in his own words, between a product and a human. And he broke my heart in this talk, because he said all he wants to do is be a father, but they told him that if he ever had kids, they'd rape and kill the kids. And he, you know, that really hit me in the gut. And he was trained to be a super soldier from a very young age. There's a picture of him at 4 years old, I think, in a kind of setup very similar to Stranger Things, which was, as he says, originally called the Montauk Project. And if you don't know about the Montauk, M-O-N-T-A-U-K project, this is a good thing if you get the time to go and research if you've never heard of it. And subscribe to the Bases Project. He, like me, got taken down off YouTube probably multiple times, like I did. But this YouTube site is like a promo site for basesprojecttv.org, I think, or .com, but you'll find the links underneath the video. If you go and watch this interview, this presentation by Drago Reed. I think he's posting a lot of promos from that live event, and there's lots of excellent interviews, and he's got a whole 30 years worth of work on his website that's really worth looking into, and it's a really reputable source of information on things like the Super Soldier Program and the Secret Space Program. Now, I started researching the SSP for short quite a long time ago, and there's a lot of interesting things that happens in the UFO community. I got ostracized from the UFO community 3 years ago, I think it was. Around that time, I was interviewing people like Danny Henderson, and who remains a friend, and people like Alex Collier. Now, I love talking to Alex Collier. He's just a lovely guy and full of knowledge, and he was talking about all the stuff that's happening now 30 years ago as well. And when I did my last interview with Alex, I told him off camera about what had just happened to me. And what just happened to me was that I got an email from somebody, and here's that story if you've never heard it before. And the email, because I was getting thousands of emails a week, I had to, and I still have to flick through the emails, because I get a lot of emails, and it's like, I want to reply to everybody, but it's just not possible. I realized early on in the early days of this podcast, it's just not possible. I mean, I've just spent a whole hour just going through the comments from the video yesterday. And if you left those comments, I do try to reply and like as many as I can, but please don't be frustrated with me if I can't reply to you, because there's just not enough hours in the day, to be honest. And I do appreciate all those comments, and please do leave them. I do read them all. But, you know, when you get thousands and thousands of comments, it's really difficult to keep up with it. And all the, you know, and I have to troll through the trolls as well, you know, all the people insulting me. And by the way, if you're one of those and you keep banging on about the same thing, that, you know, Trump is not your savior, we're the ones, I know. I never said Trump was my savior. And Q is not about there being a savior at all. I never read into it like that. Q said, you have more than you know, now get on with it. That's why I took that as useful information. And I did get on with it. As Buckminster Fuller said in the 50s, you cannot fight the system. You have to build the world that you want to see. That's why me and Gary Keeley built live5dhealth.com. If you've never heard of it, go and have a look at the website. You know, a healing center that's actually healing people in the private. You know, we're doing something. We might not be doing it perfectly, but we're doing something. And that's the point. But anyway, back to the SSP. Yeah, well, Alex Collier. So I got this email and it said, it was going on. It was along the lines of, I don't watch your show, but my friend does, and I've been up on the ships for over 10 years, and they want you to connect with you. And what you do is you go outside and you look at the stars and you wait until you feel one of the stars that you want to connect with, and then you telepathically connect with it. And that's exactly what I did that night. And the reason I did that is because in the email, it said this: they know you look up every night. Now that might freak some people out. Do you ever get the feeling you're being watched? I've had that feeling since I was born. So I went out anyway that night, and the reason that hit me is because I have looked up every night. You know, this is what led me to becoming an Air Force pilot in training. I left for reasons most regular viewers will know. But I did this, I connected with this star, and the email told me, ask it to move left and right, ask it to move up and down, just to confirm there's a connection. So I did this, and it did that. And then suddenly there was a big flash in the sky to the right, which made me look the other way, and it had gone. And I heard in my head, did you see that? And I said, yes, in my head. A bit embarrassed. I was hoping nobody was seeing me do this. And then and I looked back, and then there was another flash to the right. And what I heard then was, did you see that? And I said, yes. And then I heard, are you afraid? And I said, no. And then this beautiful big light, popped up just above the rooftops of the houses where I live, and was moving along really slowly. And I was just watching it with my jaw on the floor, because it was such an amazing kind of white light that I've described it in the past as like an animation, because that's the best way I could describe it. Similar to the way the sun changed in that video that I did that you can find on YouTube when I went to Derbyshire to Arbor Low. I think it's called, Is This the Most Powerful Stone Circle on Earth? And when the sun changed in that video, it was like an animation. But anyway, this white light was coming along, and as it got kind of opposite my back door, the sky suddenly lit up a very bright blue, like an electric blue color, a color that I'd only seen once before when I witnessed this when I lived in Marrakesh, when the sky lit up twice in about 15 minutes, like this electric blue color. In Marrakesh, it was at about 11 o'clock at night, midnight time, and it was extraordinary. And this is the same kind of blue. And then there was this huge, and it wasn't a TR-3B at all. And for those of you who think I'm completely nuts, don't forget I was a pilot. I know how things move and know the shape of things. And I've been researching this a long time. I don't know everything, but I've been researching this a long time. What appeared in front of me was a big triangular ship. And it was a burnt orange color with rounded corners. And it was an equilateral, is is that the right word? It's been a long time since I did geometry at school. It was the same length on each edge, equilateral. I can't remember the word. But it was covered in, it was like a burnt orange colour with black hieroglyphics, which I wish I had a photographic memory because I'd draw it if I did, but I haven't. And although I can kind of see it. I've been asking my daughter to draw this for me for 3 or 4 years, and she says, I only do portraits. I'm like, okay. But the other day she did say she'd have a go at it. And then it shot off, like Star Trek, you know, warp drive. Anyway, I told Alex Collier this story, and he surprised me with his answer. He said, that was your future self. And I was like, well, who am I to disagree with Alex Collier? And it stuck with me for a long time. And this all relates to what's going on at the moment in a very deep and meaningful way, because ever since I've seen that ship, and I'd seen literally tens of thousands of the white lights zipping about, doing things that aircraft can't do. And, you know, of course, I've kept my mind open to the fact that this could be reverse engineered stuff, which is where the secret space program comes in, because you've got, you know, more amazing speakers on Miles's channel, especially, I can't remember his name right now, but the guy that has been disclosing Antarctica stuff. Oh, I know someone's going to get annoyed with me and leave. Oh, I've just found Tim Riffat on Miles's channel. I have talked about Tim Riffat before. He wrote the book on remote viewing. His stuff is fascinating. But anyway, that's an aside from the SSP. I'll probably go into that in another video. I did try to get hold of Tim Riffat a few years ago, but he said I got told he doesn't do interviews, but maybe he just didn't want to talk to me. You know, you have to put up with that as a podcaster. Not everybody wants to talk to you. But anyway, yeah, that stuck with me. That stuck with me. And that was around the same time that myself and my friend here in the west of Ireland saw a dragon made of light fly above our heads. Yes, I know, crazy. Now, I tried to capture as much of this stuff as I can. I did a video where I went to Athlone to film a woman called Helen, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, because, you know, there were elementals in her garden every night and ships, and we went to try and film it, and we filmed it and we interviewed her. Go and look that video up. I think it's called Real UFOs in Ireland or something. And that was really good fun. And you know, and that stuck with me because Helen we got on really well, you know, we spent a bit of time together, but then she passed on. But she always said that she didn't want to be here. And if you watch my channel, you know I don't really believe in death anyway. But anyway, the secret space program, if you don't know about it, you need to look into it, because it does relate to super soldiers, and it relates to this thing called 20 and back, which you know, there's a lot of disinformation around it. So it's hard to know what's true, because some of you watching this may have watched the David Wilcock show on Gaia. So I do spend a lot of time doing David Wilcock impressions. I do like David Wilcock, actually, even though I know that, you know, he causes controversy. They all do. You know, the reason I got ostracized is because I got accused of sharing a post by Ishmael Perez, by Eleanor Danan, apparently, and that said, and I didn't do that, and it was weird, and I just thought, oh well. And that's when I got the word factions. You know, I'm claircognizant, and I own that now. I never used to, but I do own it now. And I was sat here confused about why I was being cut out of this whole, because I just want to investigate it. I just want to interview people that know more than me and all of that kind of stuff. And I just got cut out. And I was like, why? What did I do wrong? And the word I got was factions. And that has come true. I mean, it's very clear now that there are factions in the ufology world. Quite funny, actually, just a little aside. When I was doing stand-up comedy 30 years ago, I had a little character called Dr. Alan Jones, who was Welsh, and I put on a grey wig with glasses. This character completely flopped. He was like supposed to be the presenter of a show called The Y-Files, and it cracks me up. There's a show on YouTube called The Y-Files, which is massively successful. But I also think it's controlled demolition, that show. My kids have watched it and been really useful for talking about stuff like UFOs and pyramids and flat earth and all that kind of stuff. But then the presenter, I think I saw him on Joe Rogan, and he was kind of dismantling it all. But anyway, that's another aside. Get back to the SSP, Mark. So I've not talked about the SSP on my channel before, I don't think. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is that I did a live show with Michael Jaco. Michael Jaco, J-A-C-O, who's a man who I met. He's an ex Marine, I think, and FBI agent. And he's got a great channel. And you guys watching this will know who he is. He's got a great channel. And I really like Michael Jaco's work. I think he's done a great job in the last 5 years. And I met him, actually, on the Truth Tour. It wasn't in the film, but I did meet him in Clearwater in Florida. And a lovely chap. Didn't get a chance to talk much. Spoke a bit to his wife, Tracy, who's lovely. And but Michael did something on this live show that put me off talking about the SSP for 5 years now. And that is, he said that he was in the SSP and he recognized me. And this was on a live show. And I was, at the time, I was thinking, no, you can't, don't say that, because I don't have any memories of being in the SSP. And I don't want to go, you know, this is back in COVID days. And I was like, I can't go out there saying, yeah, I was in the SSP, because I have no recollection of it. And I don't know, it just kind of put me off, because I was like, at the time it was, and even now, you know, it's still a case of people, giving people ammunition to attack you is, it's kind of, they attack you anyway, you know, and you get used to it doing this. But, you know, at the time I was like, well, I can't go around endorsing that, you know, Michael says he recognizes me from the secret space program. So that's why I don't think I've done a show with Michael since. And it's also why I think I've never talked about the SSP. But I wanted to bring it up today simply because I've been watching the Basis Project for years. And Miles, if you watch this, I'd love to speak to you. I think you've done amazing work. And I remember watching those videos of you being attacked, and yeah, and it was a, you know, extraordinary man, I think Miles is. But this presentation by Drago, if you haven't, I'll put a link below the video. Just if you get an hour, I think it's what is it? It's a couple of hours, I think. Let's have a look.
Umbrella Corporation.
It is, yeah, it's about 50 minutes long, and it's an abbreviated version of a 3.5 hour talk, I think. Well worth going to listen to. Even if you don't believe everything he's saying, just listen to the story. And he talks very quickly, and you might want to take notes, because there's a lot of stuff in there that resonated with me. And I think it's a part of the bigger picture, 100%. I mean, who set up Space Force? Yes. And which president that followed him never mentioned Space Force for 4 years? Yes. And why isn't Space Force mentioned much now? Well, I think, this is just my opinion, Space Force is kind of an amalgamation of, that's going to happen, of the secret space program, because there's a lot of factions in that. And NASA, which is never a space agency. And all of that stuff is, you know, look at all the UFOs that were seen over America last year that were called drones. You know, I'm going to put out a film shortly about UFO hunting in the west of Ireland, because, you know, I'm in the UFO capital of Ireland. This was the headquarters of the UFO Society. He put out a thing about a month ago saying, yeah, there's going to be a UFO over the lake at around this time on Saturday night. So we went out and filmed it, and they did appear, and RTE was making a documentary on him at the same time. There was a group of us, and we're just editing that together now. And again, like with most UFO sightings, it's not definitive, but it is, you know, anecdotal. I think the RTE crew with their very good cameras did capture it, and that hopefully they will show that in a good light in the documentary that they release next year. But I didn't capture the ships that were caught because I had to get back home to feed the kids. So, but my friend stayed there a bit longer and he spotted them, and there were 4 or 5 of them, but they were lights. And this is the thing, you know, people want to see metal ships, you know. An Eamon has actually got foot. I interviewed him on my channel. Go and look up Eamon Ansbro on themarkatwoodshow.com. I think it's there. I mean, I'm scattered all over the place because I've got 2 resurrected YouTube channels and I don't know which one to post my stuff on. And I'm on Rumble and I'm on Substack, Diary of a Conspiracy Theorist.substack.com if you want to go there, and x.com/Mark Attwood. But anyway, that's just some thoughts today on the SSP, because I think that's going to be a huge part of what we're all going to learn about in the coming months and years. So if you've not, you know, you might have some experiences of the SSP yourself, please post them in the comments and I'll read them and try to reply to them if I can. But in the meantime, I've gone over, 21 minutes. Jesus, how did I manage that? And there's probably loads of things I forgot to say, but anyway, I'll leave the link to the Drago Reed Spectral Warfare Codex of the Ultra Soldier. Worth your attention. And yeah, whatever you're doing, have a beautiful day and God bless you.